Welcome to part 2 of our Creating a Character video. This is the one where we're going to level up the Necromancer, which... Do you have a name for this Necromancer?
I haven't named him yet. And we just created him today.
Yeah, so we're doing all 3 of these videos, spoiler, all in a row. So the idea is going to be that we're going to make... We made the character, now we're going to level it up to 5, and then our next one is going to be to do an encounter to show how the combat works in this edition. So, come up with a name. We'll probably deal with that before the next one. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through each level one at a time and go through all the things that you get when you level. We're going to level the character up to 5. The reason why we're going to do 5 is because that will show you every different thing that you gain when leveling up. So first we're going to start with level 2. At level 2, you get a cleric feat, and the cleric feats you can choose from will be the level 1 cleric feats or the new level 2 cleric feats. You will get a skill feat, which you can choose based on what skills you've chosen. The skill feats are all really good. There's a couple of ones that can be a lot of fun to use. And at level 2, is there anything else you get that I can think of? I don't think so. Well, there's one other thing, of course, you get, which is what?
Well, you get additional hit points.
Exactly, you get additional hit points. That's the main... And, of course, he's also going to gain an additional first-level spell. So, we'll talk about the spells, because basically what we've done is we've gone and picked all of his spells for the entire level up to get that out of the way, because it's going to take, obviously everyone's choice of spells is going to be different. So we'll get to that later, but right now what we're going to do is just go over the idea of second level abilities. So as we said, at level 2, the main things that he's going to get is he's going to get a cleric feat and he's going to get a skill feat. So let's start with the cleric feats. The cleric feats, we're now on page 121 and 122. Now we've already talked about the level 1 cleric feats. Now what we're going to do is talk about the level 2 cleric feats. The first level 2 cleric feat you have the opportunity to take is called Cantrip Expansion. This gives you 2 additional cantrips that you can prepare each day. The next thing you have is called Communal Healing, which is not available to you because you're not a positive healing cleric. The next thing is Emblazed Armament, which is again something you're not going to take because it's not really part of your build. Next would be something you might take, which is called Sap Life. Whenever you cast a harm spell to damage at least one living creature, you heal hit points equal to the spell level of your harm.
So basically.
So if you cast a level 1 harm spell on someone, you gain a hit point back. It's not bad. Next, Turn Undead. Yeah, you can't take that.
No.
And finally, Versatile Font. You can't take that either. So of the second level spells, now remember, you do not have to take a second level feat. You can choose to take another first level feat. So Sap Life, as you get higher and higher level, your harms will automatically level with you, so you'll automatically gain more hit points, which is not bad. However, I am going to remind you that you do have the option to take the Reach spell.
Correct.
So you can increase the spell level, you can increase the action number of your spell by 1 to increase the range by 30 feet.
And you can turn a touch spell into a range spell. You
can turn a touch spell into a range spell of range 30. Both of these are very good abilities.
Sometimes touch spells do a lot of damage, but you gotta touch it.
Exactly. It'll become a ranged touch spell, which is better. Because your AC, not super good.
No, you do not want to. I do not want to get close to people. I want to be far, far away.
So therefore,
if I can hide, you just say point them, and they get hit. That's the way to do it.
So therefore, Reach spell might be the answer for you. Do you want to take the Reach spell?
The Reach spell it's going to be.
All right. So his second level feat is another first level cleric feat. Remember, you can always do that. Now, the other option you have, but we're not going to go into this in this video, is if you want to, as soon as you hit second level, you have the ability to take multi-class feats. You could multi-class into another character class. Like, because your charisma is high enough, you could multi-class into Sorcerer. Or you could multi-class into Druid and automatically be anathema to yourself. I feel like Sorcerer would be a better option, but at the same time, we're not going to go into multiclass here, and also, I think that the Reach spell is probably more useful for you overall.
It is.
So, that's going to be our level 2 Cleric feat. The next thing we need to do is go to a level 2 Skill feat. Skill feats are going to be starting on page 255. And the way that you pick a skill feat is you take a look at what skill feats are available to you based on what you have. You are trained in, I think, 6 skills, plus the lore skill.
Correct. 6 plus the lore.
So since you are trained in 6 skills plus the lore skill, you could, if you wanted to, well, you can... One of the things you can do with skill feats is you can actually take skill training and become trained in a new skill. But the other option that you have is you can take skill feats that make your skills better and make your skills so you can use them. One of the most useful skill feats is called Battle Medicine. Because you chose Medicine as one of your skills, I believe, correct?
Yes, I did.
Since you chose Medicine as one of your skills, you can heal yourself or an ally in battle by making a heal check. So you don't have to use a spell slot in order to heal. This is really freaking useful. That's one thing that you can do with Medicine. You also took Occultism, correct?
I did.
With Occultism, you could be able to identify magic items with certain traits more easily with an ability called Oddity Identification. Your religion, you automatically have Student of the Canon, which makes it so you more accurately recognize the tenets of your faith or philosophy. But the other one is too high level for you to take.
How about Arcana?
Arcana. You can take Arcane Sense, which allows you to cast Detect Magic at will as an arcane innate spell, making it so you don't have to take Detect Magic with one of your cantrip slots.
Which I already had done.
Yes, but you can change that. Remember, you're a cleric. You can change your spells every day.
Even the cantrips.
Even the cantrips.
Unlike 5th edition, where you're stuck with your cantrips, correct?
No, well, remember, as a cleric, you can change everything every day.
Ah.
You're thinking of wizard.
Because I play a lot of wizard.
So, Arcana, you can do that. You also took crafting.
Correct.
You can take alchemical crafting, quick repair, snare crafting, or specialty crafting.
And what's the alchemical and what's the special?
Well, specialty crafting gives you bonuses to crafting certain types of items. We'd have to read the skill feat to see what specific items it does. And alchemical crafting gives you the ability to craft alchemical items, such as healing potions or damage potions. It's basically what the alchemist does as its base.
I like that.
It's a good choice. You can absolutely take that if you want. And what are the other skills that you took?
Intimidation.
Intimidation. You can take Group Coercion, Intimidating Glare, or Quick Coercion.
And I think that covers it, other than the lore.
Yeah, and the lore, you can take an additional lore or an Experienced Professional, which is not really that useful to you. So, overall, you can take Alchemical Crafting, which is useful. Or you can take Battle Medicine, as I've suggested, because it's a very, very useful in-combat feat. And that's basically it, because you don't get a lot of skills.
Right, and I think I'll take the alchemical feat.
Alright, so you are taking alchemical crafting as a trained in crafting, because you are trained in crafting.
Right.
So you would put that under skill feats on the next page.
So I would take it.
And it's called alchemical crafting. So what this says is you may use the craft activity to create alchemical items. When you select this feat, you immediately add the formula for 4 common first-level alchemical items to your formula book. Which, if you want to do that, it's something that you can do. For the combat, you can prepare some of those when we get to it. But for right now, I think that that's probably enough. So that is what he gets at level 2. The other thing you get at level 2 is the hit points. Your hit points go up by, as we said in the last video, your entire hit point modifier for being a cleric, which is 8, plus your con modifier, which is 1, so you get 9 more hit points.
So I become 26.
So it goes up to 26 hit points.
At second level.
At second level. Now we move on to third level. Third level gets us a couple of abilities as well. So the first thing you get at third level is you get a general feat. which can be another skill feat if you want, or, as I've suggested, medium armor proficiency. At level 3, you also get a skill increase, which makes it so you can either take a new skill or increase one of your skills from trained to expert. Obviously, doing that with religion has good reasons to it. Doing it with medicine is also very useful. And if you want to continue making better crafting things, then going expert in crafting could be very useful.
I'll take expert in crafting.
I had a feeling you were going to do that. And when we get to the skill feat that he can choose for level 4, I think I already know what skill feat he's going to take.
We'll see.
So you've got that, and now we've got going back to the general feats. So remember, with general feats, you can take general feats include any subcategory of skill feats which expand on what you can accomplish via skills. So you can take any general feat or general skill feat if you want to at this level. Now, as I said, taking medium armor proficiency will make it so that your armor class will not be completely worthless, because you can now take a breastplate, which gives you a max dex modifier of 1 and a base armor value of 4. This will increase your survivability massively. You also can take any of the general skill feats. One of the general skill feats that you can take if you are an expert in crafting is magical crafting, which gives you the ability to start crafting magical items. The problem is that also takes downtime, so crafting magical items is a little bit on the difficult side. But for the purposes of what you want to do, I know that's something you're interested in. But remember, you can't take the armor proficiency with a skill feat, but you can take the magical crafting with a skill feat later, because you're still going to get a skill feat when we hit level 4.
Yeah, I'll wait till level 4 for that.
So at level 3, again, my suggestion is medium armor, which will make it so that you can wear a breastplate and have your armor go up massively.
All right, we'll go with the armor.
So that would be under general feats, which is right below your skill feat section on that second page. Again, everything is really well organized to make it easy to do. So at level 3, that's all you get. Well, the other thing that you would get at level 3 is you would get 2 second-level spell slots, because you're a caster. But we'll talk about spells after we finish to 5, because I think we've already picked all of our spells that we're going to have for level 5. Next thing we got to do is, now that we've hit level 3, did you raise your hit points at level 3?
I don't believe I did. No, I didn't. So that's another 9.
So that's another 9, getting you up to
35.
35. So now that we've gotten level 3 done, now we get to move on to level 4. By the way, obviously, all of your skills are going to go up, your perception's going to go up, your saving throws are going to go up, and all of that. And also, I'm forgetting something entirely, which is that at level 3, because of the fact that you are a cloistered cleric, you also change your rank in fortitude saves from trained to expert.
Fortitude.
You don't erase the trained because you're still trained. You just put an X in fortitude in that as well. We'll come up with the new numbers for all 3 of your saves once we hit level 5.
So all 3 of them go?
No.
Oh, just fortitude.
So fortitude becomes expert. Your reflex is still trained, and your will save is still expert. So that's basically all that's going to happen for level 3. Now we'll move on to level 4. So level 4, first thing that's going to happen is his number of second level spell slots is going to go up from 2 to 3. Then he's going to get another skill feat. Then he's going to get another class feat for being level 4. So first thing we're going to do is go to the class feats, because there's a specific class feat that I feel like you've been waiting to get to, considering the fact that you're making a Necromancer. So the level 4 class feats that are available are Channel Smite. Again, probably not something he's going to do because that involves making melee attacks. Directed Channel, which allows you to reach out further with a channel. Channel is basically one of the versions you can use for heal and harm. This is a useful spell, but it's not what he's going to take. Improved Communal Healing. You had to take Communal Healing for that, which you weren't going to do. Necrotic Infusion. You pour negative energy into your undead subject to empower its attacks. This is a useful ability. It's not what you're going to take. And finally, Command Undead.
Oh, of course.
You can take an ability to command the undead in front of you. You grasp the animated force within an undead creature and bend it to your will. If the next action you use is to cast harm targeting one undead creature, you transform the effects of that harm spell. Instead of harm's normal effects, the target becomes controlled by you if its level is equal to or lower than your level -3. It can attempt a will save to resist being controlled by you if the target is already under someone else's command. The controlling creature also rolls a saving throw, and the undead uses the better result. If you, so the duration is basically the question here. If the will save is successful, the target is unaffected. If the will save fails, then the undead creature becomes a minion under your control. The spell gains a duration of 1 minute, but it is dismissed if you or an ally attacks the minion undead. And if it critically fails, then you have control of that undead for an hour. That's really useful. You can take control of other people's undead, or if undead happen to be attacking you, you can just say, no, you work for me now.
Didn't you always want to do that?
It's always great. But, of course, the necromantic infusion would make it so any undead that you would control as a true minion, you would be able to make more powerful. So both are good options, but Command Undead is just such a cool idea.
Yes.
It also leads to an ability that we're not going to get to, but if you eventually were leveling this character up to 10, you could take Improved Command Undead, which would change the duration. The duration changes from 1 minute to 10 minutes, and from 1 hour to 24 hours.
Making you much better.
Making you a much more powerful minion. Huzzah. But the thing is, remember, the minion must be at least 3 levels lower than you. But there's some specific minion that we're going to be talking about that you would be able to use this ability for, based on his spell selections. So that's going to be your level 4 class feat. Now you would also get a level 4 skill feat.
And of course we talked about
I think we've already talked about this, and I think for a level 4 skill feat, he's probably going to take the ability to make magic items.
Some magical crafting.
It's magic creation. I think that's what it's called, magical creation, but we will make sure. Magical crafting.
Who doesn't want to make magic items?
When you select this feat, you gain formulas for 4 common magic items of 2nd level or lower. And obviously you would be able to craft other magic items as you found the ability to make them. So, for level 4, there's one more thing we got to do.
Hit points.
Level up those hit points.
So I have another 9.
Goes up by another 9.
44.
To 44. Alright. So that's level 4. Level 5. Here is where things get a little bit longer. First, you get 2 3rd level spells, which is great. Second, you get, you get another skill increase, which you can use to increase any skill that's trained to expert or take a new skill. I would, in general, take medicine or religion for your build.
I'll probably do medicine.
The reason for medicine is if you do take battle medic, the higher rank you are, the more you can heal, so it becomes very useful. Third, you get alertness. This is going to change your proficiency rank in perception from trained to expert. It's right next to the saving throws. You're right there. So you are now an expert at perception instead of just trained. And then the 2 big things. You get an ancestry feat, and the even bigger one, you get an ability boost. So let's take care of the ability boosts. Ability boost works the same way as the ability boost did at level 1. You get to take any 4 of your stats and increase them by 2. However, if you have a stat that's already an 18, it only goes up by 1. So, for your survivability's sake, I would suggest dexterity.
Yes.
You can get an extra harm per day by increasing your charisma. You can get an extra skill point by increasing your intelligence. You can get an extra hit point per level by increasing your constitution. And you will eventually make it, if you increase your strength, you can eventually make it so that you do not have the penalties for wearing medium armor. So my suggestion would probably be Dex, Con, wisdom and charisma overall, but because of the fact that we're not going to level this character past level 5, you could choose to not level your wisdom and just level your intelligence instead for a more more streamlined stat line.
I will do that.
So for the cases of what we're doing, for the purposes of what we're doing, we're going to have a final stat line of
10 strength, 12 dexterity, 14 constitution, 14 intelligence, 18 wisdom, and 18 charisma.
All right. So the things that changes. First, your armor class is going to go up, but we're going to talk about that at the beginning of the next video once we pick you some stuff.
Hit points.
Your hit points go up. First, your hit points go up by the 9 they would have. And then they go up by 5 because they go up by 1 for each level.
Right, so now I'm at 49.
So they go up by 14 overall from the net value you currently have.
49 plus 9, that is a 58.
So you have 58 hit points at level 5. Next, you increased your intelligence, so you get another skill.
So I pick any skill.
Any skill you want to become trained. You are very good at wisdom and charisma things, so you might want to think about taking a wisdom and charisma skill. And this is also where we should probably talk about the difference between trained and untrained. If you are trained in a skill, you get to add, again, 2 plus your character level to the skill check. If you're untrained, you add nothing. You just have your stat. So, as an example, right now, your stealth would be 1. If you became trained in stealth, you would add 8 instead of 1, because it would be 5 plus the 2. So for your concept of saying, I don't want to be found, you might want to do something like that.
Like stealth.
And that would change your bonus to stealth from 1 to 8. So that finishes off your skill selection for right now. Let's go ahead and recalculate your perception and saving throws, because we're on that page. So your perception is now expert. So that you're going to be adding 4 plus your level plus your wisdom modifier.
9 plus 6 is 15.
9 plus 6.
Oh, wait, 9. 9, so it's, make 15. Alright?
Okay, so it's, remember, you've got a 4 wisdom modifier. You've got 4 for being an expert, and you are level 5. So 4 plus 4 plus 5.
4.
Which is going to make his perception total a 13.
Alright.
Your wisdom, your will save, you can be able to say is exactly the same thing because the exact same modifiers are being added. Which does make life easy. So his will save just went up by the 4 for the level. Your reflex save, your dexterity went up by 1, so that's 12, and you're still trained, which means you're still at 2 plus level. So what's your total for your dexterity save?
2 plus 1, so it's 7.
Plus the 1 for your dexterity modifier.
So it's 8.
So it's 8. So his reflex save went from 3 to 8. And finally, his fortitude is going to have the biggest change. Because not only did your con go up by 1, you also leveled 4 times, and you went from trained to expert. So you're looking at your level for 5, 4 for expert, and 2 for your constitution modifier.
So 11.
Plus 11. Alright, so we've got saving throws down, we've got perception down. Skills works the same way. You take your modifier for the skill check, you add your trained bonus, which would be, if you're trained in it, you would add 5 plus 2, and if you're expert in it, you'd add 5 plus 4. And if you're untrained, you add nothing. And the last thing we have to do is pick a feat for your ancestry. So, we got to go back to human and take a look at some human ancestry feats. So, one option you have is you can take any first level feat that doesn't say it had to be taken at level 1, or you can take any 5th level feat. So, Adeptive Adept you can't take because it required you to take Adepted Cantrip first. Mm-hmm. But what you can do is you can take Adepted Cantrip, which is the first level one, or you can take Cooperative Nature, or you can take General Training to be able to get you another first level general feat, or you can take Haughty Obstinance, which makes it so that if you success on a saving throw against a mental effect, you critically succeed instead. You can take natural skill, which gives you an additional proficiency rank in 2 skills of your choice, or you can take clever improviser. What this does is gives you the untrained improvisation general feat. What this does is make it so that your bonuses to feats you're untrained with or skills you're untrained with is not 0. It'll instead be, I believe, half your level that you get to add instead of nothing. We can look that up real quick just to make sure, but it's something like that at least. So, what would you like to take?
I think expanding cantrips probably.
No, it's not. It's adepted cantrip.
But I have to take the original.
Yeah, you have to take adepted cantrip. Adepted adept makes it so you can eventually take a spell. But just so you know, the untrained improvisation, your proficiency bonus to untrained skill checks is equal to half your level instead of 0. And when you become 7, the bonus becomes your full level instead. It's a very useful skill feat. Now, adepted cantrip. What this does is make it so that you choose one cantrip from a magical tradition other than your own. If you have a spell repertoire or spell book, replace one of the cantrips you know with that, but you're a cleric. One of your cantrips must always be chosen, must be that chosen spell. So you could take an arcane cantrip or a primal cantrip. And you prepare the rest as normal. You can cast this cantrip as a spell of your class's tradition. The main reason to do this is that eventually you could take Adeptive Adept, which would make it so that you can choose a first level spell that you don't normally have access to be able to do some fun stuff with. So you can take an extra cantrip, but it's not really extra. It replaces one of the ones you already have. The ones you have are pretty useful, so it's up to you.
And what are the other choices?
Clever Improviser, which gives you the untrained improvisation feat. Natural Skill, which gets you 2 extra skills that you are trained in. Haughty Obstinance, which makes it so that you are good at saving throws against mental effects. General Training gets you another general feat. Or Cooperative Nature, which makes it so you are better at bonuses to check when doing an aid.
General Training.
General Training gets you another first level general feat.
Why don't we go with that?
Sure. So that's one of the bonuses of being a human. Your racial feats can basically just be taking feats from other things. So at that point we would choose a general feat to choose. There's a lot of general feats that we've already talked about. You are already on that page.
It would be a first level.
Yes, you have to take a first level general feat, but that also means you can take a first level skill feat. Remember, one of the things I mentioned is the skill feat Battle Medic, which is a first level feat.
Yeah, I think I will take that.
What Battle Medic does is it allows you to... Battle Medic, what it does is gives you the ability to do the Treat Wounds action at a higher DC, but then the idea is that you can do it as a single action instead of doing it and taking 10 minutes. So you increase the DC a little bit, but you make it so that you can do it in a single round, so that you can heal without using a spell slot in combat. And because you are an expert at healing, you can even do a higher level version of it so that you can heal for, I think it's even 4d8 for the heal. Which is very... Yeah, expert in medicine is what I meant. So, that gets us to everything that you need calculated with one exception, and that is what spells you decided to take. So at this point, he's going to just say what spells he's chosen. He has 5 cantrips, 3 first level spells, 3 second level spells, and 2 third level spells available to him.
Plus my natural spells that...
plus the
abilities, I guess you could call it.
Well, plus he gets an extra 4, now 5 harms because his charisma was raised. They would be third level harm spells, so that's pretty significant. And finally, he also has the touch ability that he gained for being the undead, the Touch of Undeath, which at this point would be considered a third level spell because that's what it would count as. and I believe therefore would do 3d6 damage when cast, which is again a pretty significant change.
I also have the Goblin Pox and Bake Life abilities.
Those are additional first level spells you get for being in your.
Right.
Yeah. So what other spells did you take?
So at the cantrips level, I took Detect Magic, Message, Read Aura, Divine Lance, and Shield.
So he's got some useful spells, damaging cantrip, and shield. Shield is a very useful cantrip.
Considering I got very bad dexterity,
it helps out.
Yeah.
So first levels.
First levels. I have 2 heal spells and Fear.
And what do you have at second?
Ghoulish Cravings, which you can create a ghoul with. Spiritual Weapon, and See Invisibility.
Always useful. And how about third level spells?
So Vampiric Touch and Bind Undead.
Bind Undead lets you take control of undead for up to a day. And Vampiric Touch is a pretty heavy damaging spell that also gets you some temporary hit points. So, that's it for this video. Go ahead if you like it. Let us know. We can always try doing things similar to this again later. Subscribe, all that jazz, and everybody have a nice day.